Our next speaker is Dr. Manish Mokshagundam. Dr. Manish, also lovingly known as Guru Moksha, is the founder of Rishikula, formerly known as Mind and Health Activities Academy. He is a renowned authority in the field of Indology. For those of you who don't know the meaning of Indology, Indology is the study of Indian history, literature, philosophy, and culture. So he's a renowned authority in the field of Indology and Adhyatma, which is the mind, body, and spirit studies. He's a filmmaker, he's a best-selling author, and his popularity as an international presenter and a keynote speaker is exemplified by an impressive list of honorariums that he has. One of his quotes which caught my instant attention is, and I quote, "Ego is the only thing that is your creation. You can create nothing else." Ego is the only thing that is your creation. You can create nothing else. How very true. Sir, during your address to our audience, perhaps you could touch on this subject and say a few lines on how unhealthy ego can devour a person's humility, his ability to learn from others, and his ability to trust, and how this can adversely affect a society or even a country at large. I invite Dr. Manish to please address the gathering. Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. This is going to be in a different flavor and a different language. And it's quite different from what you've heard from our esteemed speakers here. My fellow students, because I'm also a student, even now, of Al-Basheer International School, Bashir Saab himself, Samiullah, who we have looked up to as a great journalist of Karnataka. And I've just heard Mr. Khan speak. He's an excellent orator and probably motivated you to move towards wherever you have to. Of course, my dear friend Umar Sharif, where we have discussed, debated, at times even been at loggerheads. I'm very happy to be here, to have got invited to look at a side which usually is not open, I think. And this is a great gesture of inviting both the sides to come together. And our friend, I forget, Sajjad sir, has asked me to touch upon the subject of ego, which is called Ahankar. Before I go further, I would like to tie it up with something that I had spoken to with Brother Umar about, I think a couple of years back, when he was explaining to me that Islam meant Sharanagati, surrender. Then I asked him, what do you surrender? Are you guys getting bored? Okay. So what do you surrender? Do you surrender, let's say, your house? Do you think you made it up? Did you manufacture the mud? Did you make the water? No. It was there, right? Can you surrender your money? Did you make the money? No. Can you surrender, like some of the Hindus do, your hair? Did you make it? When you were born, you were about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 kilos. And you've become big and you're going to grow bigger. Right? So where is this manufactured? Are you doing it? Is it the food? Did you make the food? Did it come from the earth? All this is not your creation. All this is created by a force we can barely comprehend. Let me share a story of the prodigal son from the New Testament. All of you know about New Testament? It's also called the Bible. Right? There's a story called the prodigal son. There are two children, two sons of a very wealthy father. One of the sons, the younger son, says, "Give me my share." And he takes his share of money and goes into another town, spends it, he wastes it. He uses it for gambling, for women, for wine. Then what happens? He's broke. He is broke. So he comes back to the father and says, "I want to work as a swine keeper, which is forbidden, isn't it? To work with pigs. But the father says, no, we are going to celebrate. No problem, you have wasted your share of the ancestry, and they celebrate. They have a huge festival. This is a story told to us by Jesus Christ. So the older son says, what are you doing? I was here, I've been taking care of you. And this brother of mine, he wasted the money, he splurged it on unwanted things, and now you're celebrating. He says, listen, this boy I thought is dead, but he is back now. So we'll celebrate that he is alive. What does this story got to do with ego? Ego is like the second boy who says, let me indulge. Give me everything. You have been taught, how many of you have been asked this question when you were young? Bade hoke kya banoge? Everybody, not a single person left out here. Not a single person. Bade hoke bada banunga. कुछ और नहीं बनना है. I will tell you, I'll explain why. It is immediately put into your mind that you have to compete, you have to become better than the rest of them. This inferiority, this feeling that I am not good enough, I have to be something that I am not, has been inculcated right from our kids, from a young age, to our kids. And you are told you have to be something. And that's something you define later on. This is where ego starts in, because it kicks in. It says, I am not good enough. My being is not good enough. I have to do something. In scientific terms, we are called human beings. Yes? How many of you know Salman Khan? Oh, good, everybody. Do you know he has a brand called Being Human? Yes. Being human. How many of you are in a being state? Sab zinda ho? Wahi hai na being. Isn't it? Okay. Now, listen to this very carefully. But we are told being is not good enough. No yawning, my friend. Third person with the glasses. Stand up. No yawning. Stand up till you are awake. Okay? That just means you don't have enough oxygen. I'm sure I'm not boring. Right? So, okay, sit down. Now, you are constantly told you must do something. You must prove yourself. I was just having a small talk with Umar Bhai and I asked him, do you think in India, because today is Independence Day, I had to bring this question up. Do you think in India Muslims have to prove their patriotism? He said, हाँ, थोड़ा करना पड़ता है. करना पड़ता है. Being is not good enough. This is where ego kicks in. Then you start comparing. I have to get better marks than the other person. I have to run faster. I have to make a bigger house. I have to, I don't know at your age what it is that drives you, that makes you competitive. And we have a system which forces competition on you. How many first ranks can you have in a class? Don't answer that, only one. Isn't it? Everybody is trying to be that first person. Can all of you look at your thumb? There's something called a thumbprint. There's a design. And each one of you has a unique thumbprint. Yes? Do you know that? पता है ना? जब कोई बुड्ढा मर रहा हो तो उसका अंगूठा लगा लेते हैं. क्यों? Because no two person has the same thumbprint. God Almighty, Allah has made each one of us unique. And instead of understanding our uniqueness, we are competing with our friends. And hence the ego starts. Ego also gives you a lot of happiness. It says, मैं इससे अच्छा हूँ. वो नहीं भाग सकता, मैं उससे तेज भाग सकता हूँ. But as soon as you do that, there's somebody else who's running faster. Then you look at him, you feel sad. Girls too. They start competing about who has, better hair, or who looks better, or who can speak better. We are in this mad race that creates this ego. How many of you have heard of Rumi? Okay, some people have, some older kids have. Rumi is a great poet. He is also the founder of the Sufi order in Islam. And he writes, the solution to the problem of ego. This is how you look. Acha laga? Acha laga? Nahi. Don't yawn. Okay? So Rumi says, you become like a reed flute. You become like a flute. How many of you know what is flute? Basuri? Everybody knows. What is inside a flute? Can anyone answer? What is inside? Stand up and tell me. That young kid. Yeah. Huh? Seed. Inside a flute, basuri. What is it? What is it? You tell me. Young kid. Bolo. Seed, again seed. There is nothing in it. Isn't it? There is nothing inside a flute. And you remember what I'm saying? Beautiful music comes out of it with the right player. All of you have to surrender your ego because it is manufactured by you. आपने खुद बनाया है, दूसरे के साथ कंपेयर करके बनाया है. You have created it yourself, and once you surrender your ego, you're in the hands of the maker, you're in the hands of Allah. किसकी म्यूजिक अच्छी रहेगी, तुम्हारी ईगो की या ऊपर वाले की? ऊपर वाले की म्यूजिक अच्छी रहेगी ना, तो हमको क्या करना है? What do we have to do? Surrender. And I don't know what is the right word. What is it called in Islam? Surrender? Silm. So in fact, the entire Islam is based on that. In fact, every religion in this world is based on that. As long as you think that you are doing, you will be creating. Right from now, you just give up the idea that you are doing anything. You know, all my Muslim friends says, एक पत्ता भी नहीं हिलता उसके इशारे के बगैर. Is that right? तो क्या तुम लोग मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हो? अपना ईगो, मेरा ये है, मेरा घर है, मेरा मार्क्स है, मेरी बॉडी में, मैं इतना सुंदर हूं, सुंदर नहीं हूं, or whatever. It's your own creation. So right from now, just be. And you know, by being, what will happen? All of us have been made unique. And your own uniqueness, जो आपका खुद being है, what is it called? Ruh? Is that the right word? The ruh, the spirit? Ruh. The spirit that you have inside of you will start flowering. Can you look around? There are 4 or 5 varieties of trees. That's a silver oak, and that's a teak. They're about 10 feet apart from each other, but they're so different to each other. Do you think they're competing? No, they're just growing. Just grow. Just grow. Move towards your own fulfillment. Move towards your own totality. दूसरा क्या कर रहा है? This is really unhealthy because you will keep looking at someone else, feeling good or bad about it. People want to give away what they feel bad about. If somebody is, let's say, more intelligent than you, you don't want to look at that. You want to look at a guy who's more dumber and say, I am better than him. But ऐसा नहीं होगा, because once you bring an ego, you'll have to look at both. There is somebody who's in front of you, there's somebody who's at the back of you. Ego works that way. The better thing, right now, stop thinking that you are doing anything. Just surrender and you will see your ego collapse like a pack of cards. How many of you have played made homes from pack of cards? It will just collapse. Super. ऐसे गिर जाएगा. And you surrender and you will understand that your inner being, your ruh will start flowering. Flower karna hai na? That is what Samiullah ji was saying. That is what Khan Sahib was saying. You have to flower. And each flower is unique. Each one of you has been made different. I understand for study's sake, somebody has to come first, somebody has to come last. But you might have some other totally different talent in you. What if we had asked Bharat Ratna, you know, they were singing about Bharat Ratna wo Ninagu. What if we had asked the Bharat Ratna recipient, Tendulkar, to ace his class? We would have lost a cricketer, isn't it? हम सब किसी न किसी चीज में माहिर हैं. हमको ऐसा बनाया है ऊपर वाले ने. Do you find what you are good at, surrender yourself, and flower your being. Thank you. Namaste.